What's going on, everybody? So, I have been asked several times about how we submit our paperwork here in DC for our LICSW, that's Licensed Independent Clinical Social Work. Um, I have created a PowerPoint presentation um, to show how this is done. Now, I obtained my LICSW last year in September. And that is when I started putting this presentation together. When I last checked the DC Board of Social Work documentation on how to do this, I didn't see any changes. So if there are any changes since then, please excuse me for that. But I have been checking. But they are continuously meeting. The board meets every month, and they are always updating their documents. But as of now, this is what I have and what I have put together. So those of you who are still trying to figure out how to put together your paperwork to submit for your hours, because it is very confusing here in DC, I have put this together for you. So, like I said, as of September of 2024, this is accurate on how to complete your hours in DC. So I have copied some of the references that I got this. So the social work application instructions, page 3, the regulation for social work, chapter 70, page 8. And what was not listed, what I learned along the way, is that your general hours can include group supervision. This is still as of now, but the board is meeting. They haven't made a decision yet on if they are no longer going to accept group supervision hours to count towards your hours. This is definitely what has been helping us as of now. If you work somewhere where you get group supervision. Also, what is not included in this regulation is that you cannot overlap time if you're employed in 2 different places. This was something that I learned because I was a 1099 employee at 2 different agencies at the exact same time. You cannot count those overlapping hours. So when you submit those hours, you have to make sure that you have an increase at one of those 2 places. Okay, so like I said, please note that they are considering moving this group supervision as an acceptable method. And this they've been talking about since November of 2023. And I have been to a meeting since July 2024. They're still talking about it right now, about removing it. But like I said, no decision has been made, but they seem to be getting a lot closer. But there is a group that's going to the meeting every month advocating on the behalf of us social workers, saying how beneficial it is for us to have group supervision. Okay. And just for people's benefit, I also just cut and pasted this chart from out of the regulations, just letting people know who may not be aware. If you're moving to DC, know that you have to have 3,000 hours. Okay, 100 of those hours must be immediately supervised by an LISW or LICSW who is licensed in DC. That is definitely one of the things that I ran across as a problem when I first started out, hence working at multiple agencies. Okay, 3,000 hours, 100 of those hours must be direct supervision, which is why the group supervision has been coming in handy as of now. All right, this is what the form looks like. This is someone's supervision that had no group supervision. Okay, so you fill it out. Where's my arrow? You fill it out, okay, in the general supervision column. Face-to-face supervision hours are counted, and is the person doing your hours, are they licensed in DC? So when you do not have group supervision, this is what your form is going to look like. You just simply calculate the number of hours that you worked a week or month. It depends on you. Are you gonna calculate this weekly or monthly? As you can see how this particular person, they did theirs every month. So their calculations is for a month. This is submitting the form for including group supervision. This is 2 of mine. And as you total it together, you see that it's a little short from 3,000 hours, but I just had to submit it. So my arrow is gone, but the form on the bottom is from one agency, and the form up top is from another agency. You see, December 2022 to March of 2023 is overlapping the other agency. March, hold on. Yeah, so basically what I did when I did this, I had to just like do it over in order to show you all this. But in either case, so I had to calculate additional time here to try my best to show you what it would look like in order to get to 3,000 hours. All right, and then you're going to see the math on the next page. But this is indeed 2 of my forms that are from 2 different agencies. You see at the bottom form, 510 general supervision hours and 20 supervision hours. That's because the agency on the bottom, again, I was working part-time. And then at the top, that agency, it was still part-time, but then I started also working full-time at that agency. So the math, this is how you complete your form. So you see, this is in total of the total time. So you divide it by the weeks. So the total time working there, that's 25 weeks. You take the hours that you work a week, which on this time was 40 hours that I worked a week. 25 times 40 is 1,000. Then because I had group supervision and I also had the department for which I worked, we also met. Sometimes it was 1 hour and sometimes it could have been 2 or 3 hours depending on what it was. You know how when you meet and you have team meetings or you come together and you have trainings, whatever, I counted those as well under my group supervision. So that equaled up 140 hours. That goes in general supervision. Then under my face-to-face supervision, which was only 55, right? So you combine the hours that you worked with the group supervision, which gets you your general supervision. That's 1,000 plus 140 equals 1,140. Then you combine 1,140 and 55. And that's how many you get on this particular form, which definitely is nowhere near the 3,000 that is needed. So 1,140 plus 55, that's only 1,195. But on this here form, when I combine all of those together, it's still short 3,000. It's still short of the required 3,000. So I would need a few more weeks to submit on this particular form. But just for your mathematical purposes, I did my best to try to make it. So the 1080 plus the 1140 gives you 2220. The 55 plus the 27 direct supervision gives you 82. So 1080, sorry, the 2220 plus 82 plus the form down here at the bottom, because you count the other agency that I worked at. So 510 plus 20, that's 2832. So just a little bit shy of the 3,000 hours. So I hope that makes some sense. Go back to the math. If you worked at more than one agency at a time, you must make sure that you do not overlap your time together, and make sure that if you have group supervision, that you have enough hours to collect it together with your individual supervision. And that's as of now. As of now, while the DC board is still accepting group supervision. So this is the PowerPoint. I will go back to the beginning just one more time. These are all the regulations. Group supervision does still count, do not overlap. 3,000 hours, 100 hours must be direct supervision. You must be supervised by a DC LICSW. So if you do not have this person at the location where you're working, you have to pay for outside supervision. You can track, it's going to take you longer if you're somewhere where you do not have group supervision, because you're only going to get possibly 1 hour a week of face-to-face supervision with your supervisor. That's 1 hour a week. So I hope that this was helpful. And if you have any questions, you all can email me at realramtlee@gmail.com or at my MSW account of tawanali.msw16@gmail.com. Those of you that's still working on your hours, good luck to you out there. Hope you find some good supervision, and just keep pushing for those hours. Take care.